Well, hey guys, it's Shannon from Charleston Clay Jewelry and Studio. Hope everybody's doing great today. I'm pretty excited about showing you a great little project that I've been working on. And first of all, I kind of want to go over the products that we're going to be using. And so let me review everything with you. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to create some great tube beads. These beads have a wonderful dimensional effect, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of the different beads I'm working on. I actually have a slew of these beads all over my my table right now because I'm just having so much fun with them. But they're pretty simple, but you just can really get a great effect with the products I'm using. So, and here's some other little examples. These are not cured yet, but this is a beautiful ombre effect. Here's the original necklace that I've been kind of working on, but these have a great ombre effect and almost a 3D look where the print itself sort of pops out from the piece. So, what you're going to need for the project, of course, the most important part is going to be the stencil. So we're going to be working with these great products. Now a stencil is sort of a patterned piece that's been cut out very specifically with a repeated shape or pattern in it. Now there's a difference between stencils and silk screens. So what I'm using today is very specifically a stencil. I just love these. These are the Punchinello Stencils from createalong.com. So they come in a huge variety of shapes. So I'm going to show this one today because I've been working with this one a lot, which is wonderful. I just love the little tiny circle patterns that they have. So great products. They are very versatile, easy to work with, and really apply a great technique on the clay. So you've got tons of different patterns to choose from, so make sure you go on there and take a look around and pick some of the different stencils for your project. Now, a few other things that we have. We of course need our tissue blade, and you're going to need just some scrap clay. This is just sort of a muddy little piece of scrap clay. And then I just have a basic thin sheet rolled on to about a 4, so a medium setting on your pasta machine. And I just have a small square for the sake of time for the video today. So you can really make a large veneer if you want. So if you want a lot of the same pattern repeated, just make yourself a larger veneer. Now I have two other tools here. I have one of Sculpey's Etch and Pearl tools. And then I have just an old skewer or dowel. It's just a real thin piece. And then I have my acrylic rod. And then this is where the fun starts. These are pan pastels, and I love them. I have fallen in love with this product. I've been using it a lot on different things. It just has such a soft velvet-like texture, and it goes on so smoothly and evenly on the clay. You are going to want to invest in these. They're not cheap, but you can go online, you can get them in sets, which will definitely save you some money. You can get them individually as well. I actually purchased these from one of my local art supply stores here in Charleston. We have such a artsy community, so it's always nice to be able to find those products whenever I go out. So I'm going to be working with turquoise shade, violet, and the white is incredibly important, so you're going to definitely want this. This is what's going to be sort of a little secret way to create our dimension that we're going to work on today. And then I have the magenta, and then just a basic turquoise. So it's sort of a lighter blue than this. But anyway, so let's get started. I'm going to clean off my workstation here. And I'm just going to move everything to the side so we've got a nice place to... Oh, you know what? And I forgot to mention, these are the applicators for the pan pastels. And I love them, and I usually can just tap them on the edge to sort of remove any of the leftover products, or you can rinse them out too to keep them nice and clean. But for now, we are gonna make some tube beads. So the first thing you wanna do is get your thin black veneer sheet, get that ready. And I'm going to apply my oval shape here. So you just sort of pat that down. And then you're gonna take your acrylic rod, make sure it's nice and clean, and then you're just gonna apply some gentle pressure to make sure that you've got full contact on that veneer. There we go. That feels quite nice there. So I'm going to take my very important white pan pastel, and I'm going to start the application process. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take that pastel and you're going to want to thoroughly cover with the white, edge to edge, all over your veneer. So, and this is just it's so soft and smooth, it just really glides on quite nicely. Make sure you've got good thorough coverage. So you'll still be able to, it'll appear kind of gray almost. But what the white does, not only does it create our dimensional effect, which you'll see before long here, it also provides us with sort of a background to allow the color that we're going to apply here in just a minute to really show up on this black clay. If you didn't have a white base, then your other colors are just going to kind of blend in with the black. As you can imagine, it's these darker colors especially, it's hard to make those pop on a black background. So this gives us a little sort of a buffer background for those great colors. So I'm just making sure I've got all my little edges covered for my pattern. There we go. And now I'm going to start with my other colors, and I'm going to begin with my turquoise shade, and I'm going to start corner to corner. So you want to kind of bring it down. This is going to really let you see each of the individual colors on one bead, which is really what I want. So if I run it this way, you'd have to make a fairly large tube bead in order to showcase the colors. So I like to go edge to edge, or corner to corner really. So I've got my darker shade. Now I'm going to apply my turquoise, my lighter shade. And I want to blend that right on in to the dark. And that's what creates that nice ombre, that sort of shading effect all the way down. So you just blend it and let the colors touch and blend into each other. But then allow a little space for each color to show up as its individual self. And now I'm going to move on into the violet, which is so pretty. So I'm going to just shade that right on in. You'll notice how great that's showing up. That's because we have that great white background. And we want it to sort of seep in from that blue. And you can really use any color you want with this. So if you've got other colors on hand, or maybe you prefer a different palette, you can certainly do that. And I'm actually going to take a little more of my light turquoise. And this is what's so fun with the pastels. You can really just sort of smooth and blend and have a lot of fun with it. Now I'm going to take, I'm going to add actually a little bit more of the purple, so, or the violet. And then I'm going to blend it on down into the pink. So I'm going to take it and tap. And then I'm going to let that pink, I kind of want the pink to show up a good bit, so. And if you've got a preferred color, you can apply more of that, or you can do smaller amounts of each color to create shorter, shorter lines if you want. And so just take a look at it whenever you're done applying the color. Make sure you're happy with the saturation. And if you want to add a little more of one or the other, be free, you know, be crazy. Add what you want, shade it, get nuts with the color. That's what's fun about it. So, there we go. Shade it on down, bring a little more of the turquoise in if I want. Okay, well, I'm pretty happy with that. So now for that ta-da moment, I'm going to remove, and you can actually give it sort of a little blow off to remove any of the excess powder. Then I'm going to remove the stencil. Look at that great pattern. It's so pretty. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and use our tissue blade to carefully pull this off of my workplace here. So I'm removing that. And there's my beautiful pattern. Isn't that gorgeous? Love it. So I'm going to set that to the side. And I'm going to take my ugly clay, my muddy clay, and I'm going to just tear off a little chunk of that. And you can even use it to wipe off any excess here. I do that all the time. I'm a messy artist. I like to keep my room neat, but boy, oh boy, when I'm in the middle of a project, it looks like there's been an accident. Okay, so as you can see, I'm sort of rolling my scrap clay out. And I'm just going to make this sort of little squatty tube. And I'm going to take my dowel, and I'm going to use the pointed side, and I'm just going to poke a little hole all the way through. There we go. And make sure your workspace is clear so that you can have plenty of space to do this. So I'm just going to start rolling it out. And you can decide on the thickness of your bead by, you know, how long you want the tube bead to stretch out. So you just keep rolling if you want a thin bead, kind of like this one. This is nice and thin. And these, you know, of course, require a thinner amount of your scrap clay. But then if you want a thicker bead, which is like what's on this, you'll just want to keep the actual roll a little thicker. So, but do remember that the veneer itself adds some thickness, so it's going to be a little larger once you add that veneer with the stencils. Okay, so I want kind of a thin tube. So I'm just going to keep rolling, and make sure you look at it and that it's nice and even. So just sort of a gentle pressure while you're rolling, nothing major. And it doesn't have to be perfect on the ends, you know, don't worry about those little scrappy little ends because those are going to actually be cut off. So here I've got my nice little ugly tube bead. And then I'm going to take my veneer, my beautiful veneer with the ovals, and I am going to apply it like so to my tube bead. So I'm going to lay it across the top here, just like this. And then I'm going to take my fingers and gently attach it to the ugly tube. There we go. All right. So I'm going to start the rolling process, and you want to just make sure that you get good contact all the way around. So you just continue to roll it, and I'm going to turn it like this, and this way when I flip it over I can see the edge here, and I'm going to want to roll it to where it meets, just gently, where you can meet edge to the back of the veneer. You can see there's a little bit of sticking that it does, which is what you want. Then you're going to pull that back a little. When you pull that back on the tube, there is a line that leaves on the back of your veneer, and what you're going to do is take your tissue blade and you're going to apply that to the line, and I usually go in kind of a tilted motion, and I tilt inward whenever I slice because the way that it creates the seam is just a much more pleasing fit with the seam. So I'm going to go take my tissue blade and I'm going to gently cut along that line, apply the pressure. Primo is so sticky right now. And then I'm going to come along with my fingers and I'm going to make those edges meet each other. So, nice and gentle. And then I'm going to give it a little roll. And one thing that I really like about the pan pastels is that they're not likely to rub off. So now if you apply a lot of pressure or you go scraping across, then yes, you are going to rub a little bit of that off. And you can also take your little tool and just go along the edge of the seam if you like, just to straighten things up. Make sure the seam is nice and even and not, you know, real noticeable. And then what I do is I take my handy little slicer, my tissue blade, and I take it at the end of the veneer. I'm going to push through until that meets the dowel, and then I'm going to let the tissue blade cut a nice even amount all the way to the back to where they meet. So, got that on one side. I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to repeat that on this side. So gentle pressure, push through, and rotate the blade. right around to the other side. Voila, okay. Take off the ugly mud, give it a little roll, and now you've got a beautiful tube bead. What you do now is you're going to take a gentle pressure with your hands, focusing mostly on the dowel and just a very slight hold on the bead. And then you're going to rotate the dowel just slightly enough to release. You can see. And that's going to pull right off. And so then you've got this beautiful dimensional look, and the white actually pops out from the edge of each of these designs, which is what gives it that really gorgeous dimensional effect. And so now we've created our little tube here. So you can kind of come up with some fun ways to create some edging if you want. I usually just take the black that I've got left over and I'll run it through the pasta machine a few times. And you can take, you know, one of your little bitty cutters and just cut a few little holes, a few little circles if you want to add a cap onto the end of your bead. And you can make them as big or as small as you want, but an easy way to make them even is to take, you know, a couple of these circles, put them together, make a nice little round ball, just like so. So you've got two of these. Give them a little squish. Take your little etch and pearl tool and poke a hole in the center, just like this. You can flatten it out more. What you're going to want to do is just make it about the size of the end of your bead. Make sure that you can match it up with the hole in the center, because if you're not careful, you're going to be left where the cap can block the opening in the bead, and that's no fun if you're going to want to string it. So I'm just gently placing that cap on the end, and you can have it pop out from the side. You can roll it to flatten it out. Anything that you like really here is what's awesome about these tubes. And they're so fun. And you can manipulate them to give them sort of a curve. I have one that I gave a great little curve to, which I just love this guy. So I'm going to roll it out, pop it on the end. Make sure everything is nice and seamless. So if they don't match, you're going to get some blockage in there for stringing. So just make sure those are nice and seamless, those holes. And there you have it. You have this really incredible, very simple and fun tube bead that you can use for stringing. You can use for wire projects, anything like that. And it just really adds such a great and fun bead to whatever your project might be that you're working on. But I hope that you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it was informative for you. I would love to see the projects that you create with your Punchinello Stencils from createalong.com. Make sure you go on their website, check them out, and they've got a lot of great products on there. So they've got things like transfer papers and fun tools and everything that you can use with your clay. So be sure to check them out. Order all of your great stencils. Lots of fun, lots of different patterns that they have. And post your projects. Tag me. You can tag Elisa Ginsberg or Kira Sly, and just let us see what you're working on. I'd love to see what you end up creating with this great dimensional pattern. So I hope everybody has a great rest of their day, and I look forward to my next project.